How to draw cool hair. So the first thing that you need to remember when you're... hold on, I'm going to grab my pen with my grip. Otherwise, I'm not going to last very long. No, I can't find it. There's, found the grip. Found it. All right, so I don't know. For some reason, these little things just help me actually draw for hours and hours and hours. Like it makes it so my fingers aren't cramped up. So, yay, cool hair. So, how do we draw cool hair? And what do we need to know to draw cool hair? So, well, the only basic thing that you need to understand in order to be able to draw hair in general is to know where your hairline is, right? If you understand where your hairline is and where your hair originates from, then you have access to hair in a lot of different ways. As long as the hair comes back to its original position, it can be molded in a lot of different ways. Hair is going to be pulled in the direction in which there is tension. So if there's hair that has pigtails or ponytails or buns, all the hair, the lines for the hair will be taken directly into that one pinpoint. So in this case, if it's a little bun, it would be going to the place where it's tensioned, which is your rubber band, scrunchie, or whatever you have. If you have hair that is, let's see, hold on. Find our hairline by drawing a circle through our circle, finding our ear, and giving ourselves our whatever sideburn we decide. So from here, if I want hair, for example, that looks like, I don't know, Giles from Street Fighter, I would just make like a little cylinder on top from that hairline and then break it down to make it look like one of those military dudes' haircuts. Little dots on the side to represent. If you need something with a widow's peak, you draw the widow's peak on top of the hairline, because the widow's peak is essentially receding hairlines. So if you're drawing your hair, right, you're going to have a normal hairline like this, and you're going to have a widow's peak. Some people have a pointy part at the front. Some people have it completely straight. So that is going to change a little bit of how okay. So let's see. An example of one like that I know off the top of my head is Wolverine. Wolverine has like this like widow's peak type of thing and two sideburns. He has like his hair going off to the sides, like the tail of a whale. Right? So that is an example of somebody that has that sort of widow's peak type of thing. Now, we also have receding hairlines, right? Receding hairlines aren't necessarily widow's peaks. So you get people that also have hairlines that just disappear, right? And you end up with this little like line of hair that goes from your ear behind your head and it wraps around to the other side. And that is how you get people that have just the little sideburns and they have like a shiny head, a semi-bald person, right? And that baldness can be done in a bunch of different ways. You just have to bring that up a little bit more and you end up getting different levels of baldness. can even make it so they're completely bald and just have a couple hairs, like Homer Simpson or something. Charlie Brown, things like that. Things like mohawks are really, really easy. Mohawks, because all you got to do for a mohawk is draw your head shape, draw through your head shape, expand that initial circle to however wide you want your mohawk, and then you have your mohawk. Just limit it. Yeah, mohawks are like some of the easiest hairstyles because you just follow that guideline. Let's bring it down more. Give him some earrings. Yay. He's going to have a piercing right here. Yeah. There you go. So, let's see. Hairstyles are normally not that complicated as long as you understand where you're supposed to draw your hair from. If kind of like the same thing that we do with like the body, right? If you understand where to bring your arm out from the body, regardless of what you draw, even down to a tentacle, it's going to look right. It could be an arm, could be anything you want coming out of the right place, it's going to look proper. Same thing with your legs, right? As long as you understand where the placement of your leg is supposed to be going, you can have a leg that's like a little tiny animal leg, like an elephant leg coming out of there, or a nice long human leg, and it's going to look proper. So the same thing applies with hair and the hairline. So if you understand how to draw your hair and draw through your shape, by drawing through your shape to find the top part of your head, and you know where the placement of your hairline is supposed to go as comparison to the rest of your body, then you're going to be able to stylize things a lot. Because now the hair originates from here and it has to connect back here in some way. So now you can have like fun, like drawing crazy hairstyles with different shapes and stuff, and see what comes out. Like, your limitations are only limited by how many shapes you're able to see in space. Now, one thing that I like to do sometimes, especially when I have sets like watercolor kits and stuff like that with me, is that I like to do this exercise. I like to draw circles, give them a front and a back, so I can draw a little tiny face. Yay! Right? Then I'm going to try to find where my eyebrows are. And above my eyebrows is going to be my hairline. My hairline allows me to figure out where my head is going to go like that. Then I grab a watercolor or something that I can draw with, like a highlighter or something, and I make a random shape. Once I know the hairline, I know that the hairline is going to be from there. So I just draw random shapes. That color is very light. And then once that dries, we will ink it and see what comes out of that hairline. Draw another one. Find my middle line. Find my eyes. Gonna make this one a worried person. We're gonna change facial expressions to each one of them. Find my hairline by drawing through my shape. Find where my ear would go. And then I can draw my hair going around. In this case, he seems like I don't know. He somewhat seems like a desk person. So maybe they have their hair combed over their head into a nice little neat little comb over. And as you can see, like, once you start adding more detail, you don't have to stick to them being super, super simple things. You can add more detail if you want, and it's still going to apply. The reason that we're not focusing on the detail in the face is because we want to be able to use more of our processing power to figuring out how this works right here. Like this is going around, right? This is what we have to do in order to be able to get to where we want. Sometimes we just have to let the randomness of our art materials like take over. Do some more. The head doesn't have to be a circle. If you go into doing more complicated shapes, right? If you're like, yeah, well, I don't want to draw circles. I want to draw cool caricatures. Okay, cool. So it's the same concept. You're still going to have a semi-round object for a head because that is just the way a skull is shaped, right? And a skull is normally a more, circular shape than not. So regardless of the head that you're drawing, you're going to end up drawing a shape like this. So you're going to have to draw a circle through a circle at some point to figure out where your things are. And might as well do it to find out where your hairline is. From there, you don't have to draw the hair super high up. You can just give it texture and just have it go around to where you have it mapped out. It's going to look like it's going around your head like it's supposed to, as opposed to just being like a line or like a simple like element in there. Okay, so take that into consideration whenever you guys are drawing hair. Your hair is not going to stick out like a million feet away from your head. It's not going to. It's unless you have like a big afro, it's not going to be this high up from your head, right? Normally, when you're drawing hair, it's actually, if it's like falling to the ground, like if it's like long hair, it hugs your skull for the most part because it's gravity that's pulling it down, right? Gravity's pulling it down on top of your head, and all this tension from wherever the hair is getting pulled tends to drag it down. So whenever you have hair like this, it tends to wrap around your body as well. Okay, so it goes around, and sometimes you have like little flyaways in the front. But gravity keeps it nice and close to the skull. Now, other options that you have are whenever you have an afro, for example, an afro is a really cool one. Find your hairline first by drawing your circles inside of your circles, figuring out that hairline into your sideburns. And then from there, well, you can get to expand it as big as you want because you already know where it's supposed to connect. Right. So as you progress and you learn different hairstyles, that is the one consistent factor is understanding where your hairline starts, because that is going to be, quite frankly, the one consistent factor between all hairstyles is always going to be understanding the hairline. If you can understand your hairline, it makes it a lot easier to be able to draw hair. Because it just becomes easy because of the placement of it. Like learning the placement of things is so important in just general like character design work. Like you need to understand what happens with your body, right? So let's have a normal person right here. Okay? We have this average person. So as you get older, your hairline goes from here and it starts receding back into your head. Okay? So you slowly start losing hair in different sections until normally you only have hair in the back, kind of. So this is the natural progression of how your hair is lost. So as you age, or as you, like with women, it gets thinner instead of getting, normally gets thinner instead of getting like balder. But, you know, that's kind of hard to like draw, especially when you're not going into hyper detail. I want to ask, what do you want to ask, Mr. Whaley? What did you want to ask? What about curly hair? Well, curly hair is kind of curly, right? So when you draw hair, if you have a girl that has curly hair, you're not going to want to draw every single curl. You're going to want to draw the outline of the actual hair first in curls. So all your outline of your hair will be curly. Okay? Then you're going to selectively go in and overlap some of these lines just to make it look like there's extra depth to that hair. And then you're going to use a squiggly crosshatch to add the depth that you need without adding too much detail. You don't want to add the curlies to all the hair, just to the parts where it would overlap and create a different sense of vision or depth, right? So the bottom of it, if the light source was like right here, then the bottom of these would be normally covered. Maybe you'd see a couple little details here, right? But it's depending on the light source that you're going to have to play around with that, because the actual concept of drawing hair that curls is this. So you're having hairs that are like wrapping around each other constantly, right? So you're having this motion, but you're having it over and over. So what you do is you simplify it by just overlapping lines with each other. And the more you do it, the more it ends up looking like curly hair. Okay? It takes a while to get used to drawing them consistently and like easy, but it's something that will come to you if you take the time to actually practice your textures. Emotions, huh? We can do emotions. I think we've done enough hair. Hair is actually like quite simple once you understand the limitations in the hairline, because it's a free-form thing. Like everybody has different hair. You know, like it doesn't matter like what shape or whatever you do for the hair, as long as you draw it in the right place, you can draw, I don't know, random shapes. And that's going to be decent hair if you know where it's supposed to come from. But if you don't know how it's placed, then yeah, of course it's going to look wrong. You can have hair that looks wrong by literally just drawing things in the wrong place. Like you can have, for example, no space in your head for a hairline because you drew floating eyebrows, right? So you have floating eyebrows that are now where the hairline would be. So you can't really draw it there because it causes an issue. Then we move it higher, and then even normal hair, like hairstyles, just look weird because they just don't have enough space. So when that happens, just add more space in the back so that you actually have a hairline, because the hairline is important. Right? Having this area to be able to draw your hair from is not just like the last step in your face. That is just a huge other part of your face that's going to give you a lot of attitude, and like it's going to give you a lot of personality. So there is no part of your face that you're drawing that is supposed to be a secondary aspect of things, right? Every single part, from your nose to your mouth to your eyes, everything can have lots and lots of emotion. even individual ones, they don't have to be drawn the same. So every single part that you draw of your character should be important. Every single character that you draw should have a purpose, right? So as you go about doing it, give them personality types. Just stop worrying so much about drawing the right thing properly and worry more about drawing the fun things in a way that fuels your soul. How about that? Like, stop worrying so much about getting an eye right. Like, oh, my eyes don't look real. Oh, what am I going to do? And focus more about thinking, what is an eye? An eye is just like a sphere with hemispheres cut out of it. Like an eyeball. That is the anatomical like body part, an eyeball. And then the eyeball has little slits in the shape of little hemispheres in front of it. So that is what we stylize to make look cool. Like this is what we go and like add eyelashes and like we add like detail, and then we change those things inside to make them look like anime characters. Or we change that up and we make them look like animals, right? It's so easy to draw eyes. Eyes are probably the easiest part of the body to draw. But we don't get taught how to see it in the most basic way. We get taught to simplify it from the get-go. Draw an almond shape. And then draw a circle inside the almond shape. And then draw another circle. This is not teaching you how to draw an eye. This is teaching you how to draw a pretty little icon. Okay, that is what this is teaching you. You're drawing the icon of an eye. You're not learning how to draw the eye. You're learning how to draw an iconic version of the eye. If you want to learn how to draw the actual eye, the eye is an eyeball. It's an organ. You can see it. Like, it literally is a ball, right? And the ball has a circle and a circle inside. And that is your eyeball. Now, if you want to give this roundness, just draw circles inside of your circle. All you got to do is draw circles inside of a circle to give something roundness, to get those little edges and stuff. But in order to get the actual eye lid, you take your circles and you bend them from this edge to this edge. Ta-da! Now you just darken the top one and you have an eye. Oh, just drawing circles inside of circles inside of circles got you an eye. Ha! How crazy is that? A circle with a circle inside of a circle and another circle inside of a circle. It gives me those 2 points around. And it gives me my eyeball. Oh, how weird is that, right? Like, oh, that is magic. That is wizardry. That is blasphemy. Like, we get taught wrong, and then we progress through our entire careers thinking we know how to draw something until someone points out that we don't. Right? The simple concept of an eye. So let's say you want a different type of eye. You want an angled eye. Those are the hard ones, right? The sexy, smexy eyes. Ooh, yeah, I want to draw those eyes, but those are so hard to draw. They're so hard to... No, they're not. What is the difference between drawing a circle like this inside of your sphere or drawing a circle like that? You still have the same shape inside that has the ball and the circle and the organ is the same. You're just changing an angle on a sphere. And you have your eye the way that you want it. The same thing goes for like a 3/4 view too. This is not like a single way of seeing things. Right? You can always angle things and turn them around and stuff like that by just drawing a circle inside of a circle. And see. And this one can be an open eye. Like, it could be like a gigantically open eye on this side. Oh no. And then when you want to find the other eye, it's really easy because you just draw the same shape and you draw the same hemispheres. Oh no, that's so hard. And then your nose bridge normally covers a little bit. Like, it's not hard when you are learning the proper way. When you're learning based on foundations and you get taught properly on foundational work, it doesn't become hard. It actually becomes quite simple to read, right? Then once you know where your eye is, right? Well, what goes after you know how to draw an eye? What do you do after that? So let's talk about it. We'll build a little bit around the eye system, and then I can literally build you a whole body based on just starting with an eye, but I'll show you guys that in a second. So first we have our eyeball. We're going to decide where our eyeball's little middle part is going to be. So yay. From there, I'm going to draw a circle inside of a circle, almost flat, just to give myself that middle line that I want. Okay. Then I'm going to decide my hemispheres to determine what type of styling I want for my eye. So I'm going to want my eye to be a little bit angled and sexy. So I want my hemispheres to be like that. The upper one is always going to overlap a little bit because that is how we represent the depth. So whenever you're drawing these, you can either make it darker or just overlap it a little bit at the edge, so that it looks like the upper lid is a little bit more predominant than the bottom lid. It doesn't take much. It's just a darker line and a little bit of overlap, right? So once you have this, well, you also have your upper eyelid because it goes around your eyeball. So that's your upper eyelid already established. You have your lower eyelid in case you want to add age signs or anything like that, wrinkles. Any of that comes from that bottom eyelid. If you want to draw sunken in eyes, that is where the bottom eyelid resides, and then the eye socket begins. So that's where that would go for your lines, right? This is also recessed into your eye socket, so that is normally where that little shadow would end up being. This is also the top of this where it connects. Your eyebrow is roughly in that little general section. So your eyebrows are going to be right over the top of your eye socket, right? And your eye socket ends where your eyeball ends at the top. The difference is, like, the only reason there's a lot of space normally is because of your eyelid. So then from here, we have your nose bridge that goes down into your nose canal. The nose canal is where your cartilage for your nose comes out from. And kind of like with the hair, as long as you understand where it's supposed to come from, it's going to be really hard for you to mess it up. And then you can progress to the other side as well. This person has a pretty much close a unibrow because of how I drew it. So I match the same eyebrows. Once I draw the eyebrows, I know that my eye is going to be right underneath it. So my eye is going to be right there. I get to decide what type of hemisphere eyes I want to give it. So I first want to draw the middle parts looking the same place. And then maybe I want to change him up. Maybe he just got beat up or something. So I'm going to make the hemispheres go like that. So I have a low one. It looks like it's drooping. And then this one's going to come around and connect. Darken the top line a little bit. And now I just gave like some personality to my character, right? Like now it's just not like the same boring, like two eyes of the same type looking forward. Now this person looks like they went through some shit. Well, anyways, that is how you would progress. The next step is to understand your eyebrows. So your eyebrows and your eyes have a very synergetic relationship. So you have your eyes and your eyebrows. Your eyebrows are going to be represented by a little beanbag shape. Okay? In this case, normally that little beanbag shape has your eyebrows on it. It's not the actual shape of your eyebrows, it's just on it. And you end up with situations where that brow muscle comes down and it blocks a little bit of the eye. Especially when you're mad, when you're angry, that tends to happen. It's not necessarily the eyebrow, the hairs of the eyebrow that are making your, like, they're covering your eye. It's the brow muscle, the little brow area that comes down. So sometimes it's not just the eyebrow touching that area. It's an entirely like section of actual muscle, and then your eyebrow is on top of it sometimes, right? Like you have volume outside of your actual brow, like your hair, that actually interacts with your eye sometimes. So that is something that you have to keep in mind whenever you're drawing your eyebrows, because a lot of people have this weird misinterpretation that it's just the hair that moves. Like, it's not just the hair that moves down whenever you're doing these things, right? It's not just the hair. It's like a whole piece of like skin and muscle that comes along with it that holds that. So if you're just drawing the hair, well, then that's might be the reason why your drawings might not look completely accurate. So let's see. Facial expressions. Oh, so we get to eyebrows. So eyebrows, you can draw a worm. Just draw a worm, split it, and you have perfect eyebrows. So it's the unibrow approach, the worm approach, whatever you want to call it. As long as you continue a line through your drawing for your eyebrows, and you just decide to split it somewhere in the middle to give yourself spacing, you're going to end up with relatively good eyebrows. And you're going to be able to do really cool design, like different, like angled, like, you know, or like facial expressions and stuff like that, because you won't be limited by having to do it the same way before. Right? So just have fun with that. Like that's actually like one of the most like silly ways that you guys can like learn to draw facial expressions is just to sit down and try to draw different emojis. See how much emotion you can portray with just like a simple little right? So you can do a lot with a very little. So that is the eyebrow approach. Just draw a big line that goes one to the other side, split it, and you have interesting eyebrows. Cool. Let's see, what else? You're so awesome. Oh. Well, thank you so much. Live, it keeps freezing. Does it keep freezing? Can you guys let me know if it's a consensus thing or if it's just this person, please? If you let me know, that'd be great. Keeps. Well, I don't know why it's doing that. I mean, if anything, it might just be my internet provider. I can't really have any control over that. So I'm sorry, guys, if it is. If it is, you guys can always catch this later on YouTube. It'll be uploaded. So you sound like a robot. I sound like a robot. I am a virtual reality drawing assistant. My name is RODGON the third. I have emotions. Okay, so what are we drawing next? Could you refresh the live chat before you too? Okay, I'm gonna restart it. So I'll just restart it and see how that works because that's not cool.